Hello everyone and welcome back to another video on Microsoft Flight Simulator, the 2020 release. This simulation was only released about a week ago now, and I just thought I would take us over to the Antalya airport, I think it is. It's actually based in Turkey, and just doing a little bit of a cold and dark startup for our A320 Airbus, A320 Neo actually. So I'm just in the cockpit here. You can see that all the systems are off, just giving the controls a bit of a test out. And I thought I'd just do a quick video today on how to start this mighty bird up and get it ready for a flight, basically. So as you can see, our ground crew are waiting patiently for us outside. So let's use the checklist option in Microsoft Flight Simulator here, and we'll walk through the engine start procedure. And by the end of the video, you'll actually have all the systems, well, should have all the systems up and running as well. So just having a bit of a play with the throttles here, you can see the various detents. You've got the idle and the high power detents there. The park brake is on. That's one of the things I like to check before we get started. Very powerful plane. Alright, so we'll start by turning on the two batteries. So there's two battery switches there, and you can see that's the first item in the checklist. By clicking this little eye icon, which I've just done there, you can see that it highlights the buttons that you need to press to complete that checklist item. So that's pretty cool. Okay, so as I'm going, I'm just going to quickly show you how to access the checklist again. You can tick the item as you go. Okay, so we've turned on the battery switches. Now we turn on external power. Now it's important to note you can use the APU instead of the external power to furnish the power. But in this case, because external power is available, because it said avail, we're just going to go ahead and use that instead. Okay, tick. Engine generators on or fault displayed, so tick. Engine bleed air switches. So the bleed air is what furnishes the compressed air to start the engines spinning around. So we'll engage that. And now we're going to engage the APU master switch and the APU start switch. Okay, so just a quick run through of the APU. This is the auxiliary power unit that's located at the very rear of the aeroplane. It's almost like a hidden jet engine, and basically it's used on the ground mostly to furnish power, air conditioning, and all those sorts of services for the aircraft before the engines are started. It also furnishes compressed air, which is the bleed air, to start the engines spinning so that they can be started. Alright, so APU start, and it's available, so very good. Wait for avail, so that's done. You can see there the little green indicator, it says avail. Tick. APU bleed. Okay, so when we hit APU bleed, listen to the noise as the compressed air rushes through the plane. Okay, so you can hear there that the APU bleed is now furnishing power, compressed air to the engines to start them spinning around. So the N2 section of the turbines, which is the interior part of the jet engines, not the exterior fan that you can see, will begin to spin, and that's when we can start adding fuel, and then you will have combustion, and then the jet engine will start, basically. Okay, so APU bleed is on. External power we can turn off at this point. Tick. Fuel pumps on, so we'll just go up here and turn on the fuel pumps. Okay. Tick. Beacon. That's a beacon light. Turn that on. Tick. Okay, page 2, starting the engines. Okay, so scroll up here and verify that the thrust levers or the throttle levers are in the idle position, which they are, as you can see there. Back to idle. Tick. Okay, yeah, tick. Engine mode selector. So this needs to be moved from normal over to the ignition start position. There you go. And then from here on, all we need to do is basically start the engines by clicking the engine master 2 and 1 switches. So we'll do engine 2 first. So there's the engine masters, and then that will start the engines up basically. Okay, so if we hop outside again, we can see there that the N1 fan is starting to spin around. Okay, So you can see that there, and the engine is coming to life. So if we look at the center panel here, look at the N2 reading, you can see that it's 25%, 26%. N2, which is the interior part of the turbine, is now spinning around. The engine is effectively starting up. And the very topmost indication on the right there is the N1 fan, which is also beginning to increase in speed. Okay, so the N1 fan is what produces most of the thrust in the engine to propel the airplane forward. So N2 is almost up to operating speed. And you can see here, I'm just moving the throttles up and down, and you can see the little pips moving on the N1 indication, which is pretty cool. Alright, we're not going to mess around with the idle settings too much here. We'll leave the throttles at idle. Not sure what that sound is in the background. Okay. Alright, so engine 1 master, and then the same process. So engine 1 will begin to start. You can see the N2 reading for engine 1 is beginning to spin up as well. So engine 2 started, engine 1 is basically starting up as well. Okay, so just zooming back in on the engine screen there, we can confirm that they are stabilizing. Engine 1 is almost stabilized. Engine 2 is well established. I look at the N2 readings to confirm that the engines are stabilized. We're looking for around 60% on the N2 stage of the turbines, of the engines. So 50% on engine 1, 53, 54, 55, almost there. And you can see the N1 fans are pretty much at idle speed, which is good. Exhaust gas temperatures are looking good as well. Just goosing the throttles there a little bit. You can see the engines are responding. So that's basically it. We've confirmed the engines are stabilized and everything's looking good from the outside as well. Nothing has caught fire. Now I want to be careful revving it up on the ground. Don't want to rev it too high because it's a safety risk. So yes, be careful with that. Okay, so after starting the engines, we go ahead and turn off the APU, which is our auxiliary power unit from before. So the bleed gets turned off. So we'll go ahead and tick that off. The master switch can be turned off. And then finally, the engine mode selector can be returned back to normal. And at this point, normally you could request pushback, and then away you go, basically. So thanks for watching. For those of you who are quite well versed with the Airbus startup procedure in reality, this is quite a simplified, I guess, method for starting the engines. A lot of the controls aren't available in the simulation, but you will see here that it doesn't take too long to get the engines running. For those of you who are wanting to make a quick getaway, there are other checks that you can incorporate into the startup procedure if you wish. But this is the bare minimum, bare essentials to get the Airbus 320 up and going. So thanks for watching.